Stress does not just live in your mind as a fleeting sensation, it carves its presence deep into your biology, reshaping you in ways both subtle and profound. Scientists have found that chronic stress physically shrinks the hippocampus, the very heart of memory and learning, like a river slowly eroding its banks until whole landscapes disappear. This shrinkage not only dulls your ability to recall cherished details of your life, but also makes it harder to imagine the future, as if stress steals not only your past, but your tomorrow. Cortisol, the so-called stress hormone, fuels this transformation, coursing through your bloodstream like a relentless tide, weakening neurons and disrupting their delicate connections. When this chemical storm persists, it also disrupts the balance of neurotransmitters, dimming dopamine's spark of motivation and serotonin's steadying calm, leaving the mind restless and drained. Yet the reach of stress does not end within the skull. It seeps into the body, altering the rhythm of your heart, hardening arteries over time, and priming the immune system not for defense, but for overreaction, so that inflammation lingers like a smoldering fire, feeding diseases from within. Even your DNA carries its scars, as telomeres, the protective caps on chromosomes that measure the length of life, shorten under stress, accelerating cellular aging so swiftly that two people of the same age can look decades apart depending on how much stress is carved into them. The digestive system, too, becomes a battlefield, where stress reroutes blood flow away from the gut, slowing digestion, breeding ulcers, and altering the community of microbes that shape immunity, mood, and even decision-making. Skin, the body's outer storybook, reveals stress and outbreaks of acne, rashes, and premature wrinkles, while hair follicles surrender to its assault, turning strands gray or forcing them to fall before their time. Sleep, which should be a sanctuary, instead becomes fragile and restless, for stress makes the brain's alarms ring even in the silence of night, leaving you tossing, turning, and waking with a heart that feels as though it never stopped running. Over time, this insomnia deepens the damage, for the brain cleans itself only in the darkness of deep rest. And without that cleansing, toxic proteins build up, clouding thought and increasing the risk of degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. And yet, stress wields another strange paradox. For in brief bursts, it can sharpen focus, heighten senses, and grant temporary bursts of superhuman clarity, a primal echo of survival instincts inherited from ancestors who needed such fire to fight or flee. But when the modern world chains that fire to the endless grind of work, uncertainty, and constant stimulation, the once protective force turns into poison, burning not just the mind, but the very architecture of life itself. The body adapts to this ongoing siege by reshaping the brain's amygdala, the center of fear and emotion, making it more reactive, more sensitive, more likely to trigger anxiety even at the smallest threats, creating a feedback loop that tightens stress's grip. This heightened vigilance, once useful for avoiding predators, now keeps people locked in cycles of worry about bills, deadlines, and unseen futures. But here lies another layer of fascination. While stress can dismantle the hippocampus and inflame the amygdala, the brain is not a static organ. It breathes with plasticity, capable of healing and regrowth, and practices like mindfulness, physical exercise, and deep social connection have been shown to regrow gray matter, strengthening memory and resilience, like sunlight coaxing life back into a scorched forest. Astonishingly, laughter itself reduces cortisol, while even brief moments of awe, standing before a mountain, gazing at the night sky, recalibrate the nervous system, silencing alarms and widening perspective. In this way, stress is both a destroyer and a teacher, a sculptor that can carve ruin, but also offer the raw material for transformation, depending on how one learns to bend under its pressure. It is as if stress carries within it two futures, one where unchecked strain dismantles the body from within, and one where recognition of its power leads to profound growth, resilience, and even wisdom. And perhaps that is the true paradox, that the same force that can shrink memory and shorten life can also, when mastered, deepen meaning and sharpen clarity. reminding us that survival was never meant to be passive endurance, but an active dance with the very storms that seek to undo us.